A salary is a bribe. It is the exact amount of money they pay you to forget your dreams. Think about that sentence. Really think about it. Because most people hear that and they flinch. They get uncomfortable. And you know why? Because somewhere deep down, they already know it's true. You went to school, you did what you were told, you built a resume, you put on the suit, you shook the hand, and they looked you in the eye and they said, "We'd like to offer you the position. The salary is $62,000 a year, full benefits, 2 weeks vacation." And you felt safe. That feeling, that warm, comfortable, "I made it" feeling, that is the sedative. That is the trap closing around your ankle. Because here's what nobody, not your parents, not your school, not your HR department, ever sat you down and explained. The safe job is not safe. It is mathematically, provably the highest risk financial decision you will ever make. And I'm going to prove it to you with numbers, not opinions, not feelings, numbers. Because at Dollar Dave, we don't do feelings, we do math. So buckle up, because what I'm about to show you in the next 20 minutes is going to rewrite everything you thought you knew about money, safety, and time. Let's start with the most fundamental equation in the employee's life, the one that governs everything, the one nobody ever writes on a whiteboard for you. It's this: time multiplied by rate equals income. That's it. That is your entire financial model as an employee. You sell time, you get a rate, that's your money. Now, here's the problem with that model, and it's a catastrophic problem. Time is finite. You cannot manufacture more of it. You cannot invest it and get compound returns on it. You cannot outsource it. Every single human being on this planet, billionaire, broke, CEO, janitor, gets exactly 168 hours a week. No more, no less. So, the moment you agree to trade time for money, you have just accepted a hard mathematical ceiling on your income. That ceiling is defined by two numbers: how many hours you can physically work and what rate someone else is willing to pay per hour. Let me show you what that ceiling actually looks like over a lifetime, and I want you to really sit with these numbers. The standard American work model is 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, I'm giving you 2 weeks vacation, they're generous like that, and 40 years of working life. Let's say you start at 25 and retire at 65. Do the math. 40 hours times 50 weeks, that's 2,000 hours a year. 2,000 hours times 40 years, that's 80,000 hours of your life. To let that land. 80,000 hours. That is your total inventory. That is every hour you have to sell. That is your entire financial asset as an employee. And the moment each one of those hours passes, it's gone. You cannot get it back. You cannot sell it again. Now, let's look at what that inventory is actually worth. The U.S. median personal income right now is roughly $56,000 a year. Let's be generous. Let's say you average $65,000 a year over your 40-year career, accounting for raises along the way. $65,000 times 40 years equals $2.6 million. That sounds like a lot, right? $2.6 million. You earned $2.6 million in your lifetime. Except you didn't, because now we have to talk about where that money actually went. Federal income tax on that bracket, roughly 22%. State income tax, let's say 5%. Social Security and Medicare, another 7.65%. We're already at nearly 35% gone before you touch a dime. So your $2.6 million just became $1.69 million. Then comes housing. Average American spends 30% of income. Transportation, another 15%. Food, 12%. Healthcare, 8%. Utilities, subscriptions, insurance. By the time you're done, the average American retires with less than $250,000 in savings. You sold 80,000 hours of your one and only life. $2.6 million passed through your hands, and you kept less than 10 cents of every dollar. And you called that safe? Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, Dave, but what about promotions? What about climbing the ladder? That's how you get ahead. Oh, the ladder. Let's talk about the ladder. The corporate ladder is one of the most sophisticated financial sedatives ever designed. And I'll tell you exactly why. When you get promoted, let's say you go from $65,000 to $90,000. Congratulations, you're a senior manager now. A few things happen simultaneously, and most people only focus on one of them. They focus on the bigger number. What they don't focus on is the full financial picture. Number one, tax bracket creep. You just moved from the 22% federal bracket toward the 24%. That extra $25,000 doesn't get taxed at 22%. The marginal rate on that increase is higher immediately. The government is the first person who gets your raise. Number two, lifestyle creep. And this one is the real predator, because now you're a senior manager. You have a title. You have meetings with VPs. And suddenly, the 10-year-old Honda doesn't feel right. People expect you to look the part. You need a better suit, a nicer apartment closer to the office. You start going to the restaurants your new colleagues go to. You take the slightly more expensive vacation because you deserve it. You're a senior manager now. Every dollar of that raise gets absorbed, not by savings, by identity, by the performance of success. Number three, time cost. The promotion doesn't come with the same 40 hours. Now you're expected. 70% of managers in America report working more than 50 hours a week. Your hourly rate might have barely moved at all. Here's the math that destroys the ladder illusion completely. A study from Bankrate found that 57% of Americans earning over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. $100,000 a year, and more than half of them are one missed check away from a crisis. The ladder doesn't lead to freedom. The ladder leads to a higher floor in the same building. You're still in the building. You're still in the trap. The walls just got a little nicer. I want to introduce you to the most patient financial thief in history. You never see it coming. It never announces itself. It just works. Every single day, silently, steadily, erasing your purchasing power while you sleep. Inflation. Let me put this in concrete terms, because people throw the word inflation around like it's abstract. It's not abstract. It is happening to your specific dollars right now. Here's what the math actually looks like. The Federal Reserve targets 2% inflation annually. That's the official target. But real-world inflation, the kind that affects groceries, rent, energy, healthcare, education, has been running at 4%, 5%, 6%, or higher in recent cycles. Let's use 3.5% as a conservative long-term average. That's being kind. If you earn $65,000 this year and get a 2.5% raise next year, which, by the way, is considered a good raise in most corporate environments, you're now earning $66,625. But inflation at 3.5% means that $66,625 next year has the purchasing power of roughly $64,375 in today's dollars. You got a raise, and you are now poorer than you were last year, in real terms, in actual buying power. Project that forward. Over a 10-year period with a 2.5% raise every year and 3.5% inflation, your real purchasing power doesn't grow. It steadily shrinks.
You are running on a treadmill that is quietly accelerating beneath your feet. And here is the thing that should make your blood run cold. Your employer knows this. This isn't a secret. The 2–3% annual raise that feels like generosity. It's calibrated. It's designed to feel like progress while keeping you exactly where you are, or just slightly behind. The safe paycheck isn't safe. It's a slow, quiet, mathematical drain. And the tragedy isn't that the system exists. The tragedy is that nobody tells you. Nobody shows you the numbers. You go in every day feeling like you're moving forward, and the math says otherwise.
All right, I've shown you the trap. Now let me show you the door. There are two types of people in the financial world. Not rich and poor, not smart and dumb. Two types. And the difference between them is not intelligence, not work ethic, not even luck. The difference is what they own. Type 1, the time seller. This is the employee. Every dollar they earn requires an hour. When they stop working, the money stops. They own no assets that generate income while they sleep. 100% of their wealth depends on their continued physical presence at a job. Their financial life is a direct function of time. Type 2, the equity owner. This person owns things, businesses, real estate, stocks, intellectual property that generate income independent of their time. They can sleep, they can travel, they can get sick. The income continues because money is working for them. Assets are working for them. Time is decoupled from income. Now here's where it gets really important, because this isn't just philosophy. This is baked into the legal structure of the tax code. In the United States, earned income, the money you get from a salary, is taxed at ordinary income rates, up to 37%, plus state taxes, plus payroll taxes. You are looking at potentially 40–50 cents of every dollar going to the government before you ever see it. Capital gains, the money you make from owning assets, from selling stocks, from building equity, is taxed at a maximum of 20% long-term, and there are legal strategies to reduce that further. The tax code was not written by accident. It was written by people who own things, and it is legally structured to extract the maximum from people who sell time and the minimum from people who own assets. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is public tax law. You can read it yourself. I'm just the guy who's telling you what it actually means for your wallet. Now, the single most important financial decision you will ever make isn't which job to take. It's when and how you transition from being a time seller to being an equity owner.
Okay, here we go. This is the part you came for. This is the Dollar Dave formula. And I need you to stay with me through this math, because these numbers are going to change how you see every single dollar you spend for the rest of your life. $7 a day. That's it. That is the number. $7 a day is the mathematical key to buying back your time. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dave, $7 a day? That's nothing. And you're right, it feels like nothing. A corporate coffee, a fast food lunch, an impulse app purchase, $7 evaporates. Every single day for millions of people, $7 just disappears. But here's what happens when you redirect that $7. Instead of spending it, you invest it every single day into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, the kind that tracks the top 500 companies in America and has returned an average of approximately 10% per year before inflation over the last 50 years. We'll use a conservative 8% to be safe. $7 a day is $210 a month, $2,520 a year. Now, let's run the compound interest math and pay close attention, because compound interest is the only force in finance that works harder the longer you leave it alone. At an 8% annual return compounded monthly, after 10 years, your $25,200 in contributions has grown to approximately $38,000. Okay, solid start. After 20 years, your $50,400 in contributions has grown to approximately $116,000. Now we're talking. You more than doubled your money. After 30 years, your $75,600 in contributions has grown to approximately $310,000. $310,000 from $7 a day, from coffee money. But here's the part that breaks people's brains. Here's why compound interest is called the eighth wonder of the world. After 35 years, that number jumps to approximately $481,000. After 40 years, you are looking at over $730,000. From $7 a day, from the price of the lunch you were going to eat at your desk and forget about by 3 p.m. And I want to contextualize that number, because $7 a day isn't some big sacrifice. We're not talking about eating ramen and living in a van. We're talking about one conscious, deliberate redirect of what you were already spending on nothing. Now, imagine you redirect $14 a day. $14, 2 coffees, 1 unnecessary subscription plus a snack. That 40-year number more than doubles. You're looking at $1.46 million. And here's what that actually buys you. At a standard 4% withdrawal rate, the rate that historically sustains a portfolio indefinitely, $730,000 generates $29,200 a year, every single year, without you doing anything, without you punching a clock, without you asking anyone's permission to take a day off. That is not retirement. That is freedom. That is the mathematical definition of owning your time. The vehicle is simple: a Roth IRA, a 401k, a brokerage account, a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, Vanguard's VOO, Fidelity's FZROX, Schwab's CHCB. These are not complicated financial products. They are broadly diversified, they have tiny fees, and they have compounded wealth for ordinary people for decades. You don't need a financial advisor to do this. You need an account, an automatic transfer, and the discipline to not touch it. $7 a day, every day, starting now. That is the escape hatch from the treadmill.
I want to talk to you for a second. Not Dollar Dave the character, just me talking to you. None of this is your fault. You didn't design this system. You were born into it.
From the time you were 5 years old, every institution around you, school, family, culture, media, was pointing you toward one outcome: get a degree, get a job, work hard, be grateful, retire at 65. Nobody showed you the math. Nobody explained compound interest in 2nd grade, even though it would have been the most useful thing they ever taught you. Nobody told you that the tax code was written in favor of owners. Nobody broke down what inflation actually does to your paycheck over time. Nobody told you that the safe path was mathematically the riskiest one. They weren't trying to trap you. Most of them were trapped too. Your parents, your teachers, your first boss. They were doing the best they could with what they knew. But here's the thing. You know now. You have heard the numbers. You've seen the math. The ceiling on time trading, the tax advantage of equity, the compound interest on $7 a day. You cannot unknow this. And that means it's no longer a question of what you were taught. It's a question of what you choose to do with what you now know. The decision is yours. You can close this video, go back to the treadmill, and tell yourself it's fine. Or you can start today. Open the account today. Set up the automatic transfer today. Even if it's $5, even if it's $3, the amount matters less than the habit. The habit matters less than the decision. Start the decision today. And if you want the full mathematical blueprints, the step-by-step playbooks on building equity, understanding tax strategy, escaping the time for money trap, then subscribe, hit that bell, because every week I bring you a new set of numbers, a new formula, a new truth that the system would rather you didn't understand.
I don't have advertisers telling me what I can and can't say. I don't have a boss. I have math. And math doesn't lie. You were not born to be managed. You were not born to clock in and clock out and hand the best hours of your life to someone else's dream. You were born to build, to own, to compound. So stop handing away your life for the illusion of security. Stop mistaking a paycheck for a plan. Stop trading the only thing you can never get back, your time, for a number that barely keeps pace with the world trying to drain you dry. The math is on your side. The compound interest is on your side. The clock is ticking either way. I'm Dollar Dave. Stop getting played.